It's Brian with Focused Idea coming to you with another edition of Stuff You Should Know About Digital Marketing. And this week I want to talk to you a little bit about ADA website compliance and what that is and why you should care. Actually, I'm going to share a video that was done by an investigative reporter in Florida off of a channel called WFLA that will give you a little more insight as to what this whole ADA compliance thing is as far as your website's concerned. But it does open you up to a lawsuit if you're not ADA compliant. And I'm not saying that to instill fear, it's more to bring awareness. And that's the point of this, is to just bring awareness. If your site isn't compliant, which it probably isn't, you need to be aware of that and take steps and measures to get that taken care of. Now, the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, has been around since 1990, so it's 30 years old. And in 2010, they came up with some guidelines, general guidelines, about website accessibility. Some of those things that need to be done is, there needs to be contrasting text, needs to be clear for people who have vision issues. There needs to be text readers capabilities for people who can't see clearly or are blind. And businesses that fall under Title I, those are businesses that operate 20 weeks out of the year and have at least 15 full-time employees. Or Title III businesses, and those are businesses that fall under public accommodation. And by public accommodation, we're talking about things like banks, hotel websites, anything that somebody would go into a physical location. They need to also be able to access the services online. And that's where we usually think about ADA, is like parking lots with disabled or handicapped parking spaces, or ramps, sidewalks with ramps on them, handrails, things like that. Those are all ADA, and as you'll see in this video, generally when it's coming to something like a building, brick and mortar, there are strict guidelines that are written down that say these are the requirements that you must meet to be ADA compliant without having to pay a fine. The web, though it's been around since 2010, has just started really getting enforced within the last couple of years, and those compliance orders are a little bit more, I won't say convoluted, but they're not so perfectly defined. There are 4 areas that you need to fit in, and I'm not going to get into them too deeply, but they're general. One is perceivable, and I'm just going to read this right off the screen, so when you see my eyes not looking at you in the camera, now you know why. Perceivable is content is presented in an easily perceivable manner. Examples include offering alternatives to text, such as audio alternatives or assistive technology that allow sight-impaired individuals to perceive your website's content. I mentioned that a little bit. The other one is operable. Navigation has to be easy to operate. Examples would include having keyboard accessibility, so users with disabilities can navigate or navigate your website and access your content easily. Understandable. Okay, this is number 3. Content is easy to understand. Examples would include making content readable and predictable and offering input assistance if needed. And then the 4th category, 4th guideline, is that it's robust. Your website content can be interrupted by various devices, can be interpreted by various devices and platforms. For example, you want to ensure that content is compatible with user agents like assistive technologies, in other words, screen readers. There are a few basic steps, real simple things to do to get your site closer to being compliant. One is to use alt tags in your images. Alt tags and your videos and your audios too give a description so a screen reader can actually read your description of what that image is. If you're doing video or audio, you want to be able to, or you want to create a transcript for those audios, so screen readers can actually read them, because readers can't read videos, but they can obviously read transcripts, because that's literally just the words being spoken in the video. You want to be able to identify the site language. You want to put that up in the header. Okay, so if it's English, or if it's German, or if it's Spanish, it actually says what it is in the back end, not the back end, but behind the scenes of what a web page is. It's what you and I wouldn't actually see, but a screen reader would see that. Offer alternatives, suggestions when users encounter input errors. And again, I'm just going to read this off. If a user with a disability is encountering input errors because of their need to navigate the website differently, your site should automatically offer recommendations as to how a visitor might be able to better navigate the site, okay, or navigate that content. And then the other suggestion is to create consistent, organized layout. So your menus, your links, your buttons, your text, all of that should be put in a way to where it's clearly delineated and we understand it. It follows a reasonable flow. So you can be fined if you don't get compliant. Some places up to $50,000. It depends on what the site is. Sites that I personally know of that have been hit with these fines, Best Buy, Amazon, Home Depot, they've all been sued. And yeah, those are big companies. You'd think that they would already have website compliance in place, but they don't know about it. That's the thing, is people just don't know. They're not aware of the requirements and the necessity of website compliance. If your site is more than a couple of years old, by the way, I can almost guarantee you your site is not compliant. Most sites right now, I guess, I mean, I don't know the exact number, but I guess somewhere around 97-98% of websites are not ADA compliant. How do you find that out? We could do an audit for you. We can audit your site and check and make sure that everything fits the ADA guidelines. And if not, you know, we can help you out with that. But what I want to do is cut away from me. I want to go into this video that WFLA put together. It's about 5 minutes long. And then I'm just going to wrap it up right then. I want to keep this whole thing in within 15 minutes. So let's just pop right over into that real quick.
She's tackling every opportunity to make something that's going wrong right. Better call Benka.
So is your business website accessible to the disabled? If it is not, a lawsuit could be coming your way. Business owners and web developers across the nation are on edge, and rightly so, after our Better Call Benka investigation uncovered thousands of ADA lawsuits targeting website accessibility. 8 on Your Side investigator Shannon Benka returns now with an update on this story. And as soon as we heard that, the first time you told me before the story aired, I went, what? Because I think it does take a lot of people by surprise.
It does, and I'm hearing from quite a few business owners who tell me that they didn't know about this, and professionals who develop the websites, they don't know about it either, and that's the scary thing. And that's why so many business owners need to make sure that they didn't buy a website template that can get them sued.
We have great customers.
Ben Tundes was stunned when he was served with an ADA lawsuit over his new website for Island Comfort footwear.
We're all sitting ducks.
A blind woman claims she couldn't buy shoes because the site was not compatible with her screen reader. The woman has sued 175 businesses.
But now they're attacking mom and pop stores, I guess you would call it, small business owners. You know, we just can't write some big check and walk away.
Under the ADA, businesses that are open to the public cannot discriminate against people with disabilities. In recent years, lawyers have won or settled thousands of cases over website accessibility. Even so, as Sean Wormuth of 1305 Creative tells me, many website developers are not aware of these requirements.
Or if you build a building, it has to be ADA compliant, and there's an inspector who comes out and tells you, hey, this light switch isn't right or this door handle isn't right. So you know exactly what is and isn't. With a website, it's the Wild West. We don't know.
The ADA doesn't specify how websites should be ADA accessible, but there are industry standards recognized by courts.
This is an area of concern.
However, Chris M. Law of Accessibility Track says those standards are rarely included in basic website templates businesses buy.
If you're a small business owner and you're going to have your parking lot redone, nobody is going to ask you any questions about the blue paint for the wheelchair spaces. It's all just built in.
Not the case with websites.
The onus for accessibility is on the small business owner, not on the people that provide the services.
So buyer beware. Before you hire a web developer or buy a template to build your own site, you need to ask some questions. And if your developer doesn't know about ADA accessibility or they're not willing to learn about it, you may just want to find yourself a new company to work with.
Well, but so many people and businesses already have their websites. And it's one thing if you're starting out and we'll go search for this and pony up whatever that cost is. We still don't know exactly what that is, but you already have a website. What do you do?
Well, you know, it is complicated because the guy that we spoke with today, he is a website developer and he had to start looking some of this up today. He says he's already called his attorney and they're looking into what they need to do. But there are companies out there, national companies and a few local ones that audit your site. They can tell you what you need to do, what's wrong with your site. Also, you can go to the Lighthouse for the Blind and they will help you too. You need someone to audit it and tell you what you need to do to fix it. It can cost quite a bit of money, as we were talking about yesterday.
Well, the blind deserve to have this accessibility, but at the same time, if you have a website and you don't know about this, I mean, really, you're a victim. It's almost like you're being targeted in this sort of thing. So a lot to learn here.
Now, I'm sure from watching that video, you can see some similarities between your business and the shoe company owner, for example. You know, just a small business trying to provide a service, you know, and have their business also on the internet because, well, there's billions of dollars being done on the internet. Why wouldn't you have a website here? I'm not saying don't have a website. Nobody's saying that. What is being said right now is get your site compliant to avoid the lawsuits. Is it expensive? It can be, but it doesn't have to be. But I can promise you, whatever the cost of getting your site audited and getting it brought to compliance is a lot cheaper than paying a fine. So if you have questions about how to get your website audited and brought into compliance, you can give us a shout at Focused Idea, focusedidea.com, FOCUSEDIDEA.com. Leave us a message. Go to the contact page. Leave us a message, and we can connect with you and talk to you about how to get your site compliant. So that's it for this week. Hope to hear from you. See you next time. And again, if you have any questions, give us a shout. In the meantime, take care. Have a great day.